I'm honored to be able to make a film that represents our culture that we grew up on,
Right.
and kind of, it's not easy to get this shit through the system.
Right.
You know, it's always these big Hollywood movies that fuck up hip hop or fuck up skateboarding and fuck up sneaker culture, fuck up all that stuff. It's like they're old people trying to figure it out. And so if I could do anything to just make a film for us, that's sick. You know, I'm hyped on that.
What's up, geniuses? Welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Rob Markman. Now, today's guest is very special, man. It's not so often on this show. Matter of fact, it's not ever on this show that we get an Oscar-nominated big Hollywood star. My man was in Superbad. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. He's making his directorial debut for a movie that he wrote and supervised the music on, picked all the music on, Mid90s. Everybody is buzzing about this film. I'd like to welcome to For the Record, my man, Jonah Hill.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
What's good, man?
It's a pleasure.
Yo, man, first of all, congratulations, man. Like, this just seems like a dream, because you've done so much in your career, but really, like, directorial debut, the movie that you wrote yourself, the music in the movie feels so authentic. This just feels like everything you've done before that led right up to this.
Well, it's amazing. When you're an actor, you're a color in a painting, right? And I've been a decent green for a long time, but if the director wants to paint over purple, it's their painting, you know? So for me, it was time to really say what I had to say. And if I look at all my heroes, people who came from comedy, who became big directors like Mike Nichols or Barry Levinson, you only get one shot at your first movie. And so it had to really mean something, you know? And that's what I looked at from my heroes, and that's what they did. And so for me, you know, it's amazing that to me that genius even exists. Like, a big reason I made the film, because hip hop, like skateboarding, is always misused in film. Right. It's always shown someone driving through the hood or popping champagne. And to me, it's the emotional backbone of my growing up. So I needed to make a film that could elegantly portray that Tribe is to me what the Beatles were to my parents.
Right.
And Mobb Deep to me is what the Rolling Stones were to my parents. And to actually make a film that shows even like fancy people that like, this is a real art form. This is real art. Like, it's going down in the catalog with like classical music 100 years from now, and DJ Premier's Mozart. And so for me, I wanted to make a film that really had a structure that could hold that hip hop music is important.
Well, you know, you get that kind of right away from just what if you watch the trailer, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you have the same sample that wu-tang used in Tears.
Yeah.
You know, so you're like, wait, hold on. This wasn't the single. This wasn't Cream. This wasn't Method Man. This wasn't Protect Your Neck or Chest Boxing. There was tons of singles to choose from. Look, we're right here actually on Enter the Wu-Tang. Number of singles to choose from. You went and wanted to capture the feeling of Tears for the trailer. So to me, right away, what that communicates is real, like, authenticity. This wasn't the paint by the numbers, let's do something to appeal to the hip hop audience. This is like an extension to you.
Yeah, this is my heart. You know, Mid90s is, you know, first and foremost showing respect to skating, which is the most butchered thing on screen.
Right.
So we took the most care with that. And then, you know, the first people I showed the film to, the first cut, were my sister, Beanie Feldstein, Q-Tip, and Frank Ocean. And I was like, I need someone to be savage. I need people to really tear it up. Like, if there's anything fake, let's get it the fuck out of there, you know? And they're honest and have great taste. And to me, this is a movie for people that pioneered in skateboarding, for people that pioneered in hip hop, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, for me, I'm from the West Coast. So before, let's say, Souls of Mischief and Farside, you know, everything was East Coast,
right?
Because it was either gangster rap or the East Coast rap. So you had like Pete Rock and Premier and all these people making like, you know, and Tribe and De La kind of making more like artsy kind of rap. And then Souls of Mischief and Farside came along, and the West Coast had something that was like, you know, super artistic that we could follow, you know? So to me, 93 Till Infinity, Passing Me By, these are songs that are the formation of my youth. They are what got me into music. And to me, I needed to show these songs. You know, all of us walk around with headphones on and we hear a song and we connect to it emotionally in the way we personally do. So you and I might have this totally different emotional connections to the same song.
Right.
And part of directing, I wrote every song in there to that scene, every single song. it was so I could show what that song meant to me emotionally.
Can you give me an example? Give me an example.
Of course, if we're talking hip hop specifically, I mean, like, whatever. There's a Morrissey song that's the emotional high point of the film that I wrote Morrissey a letter and got, clearance from him, which was amazing in itself. But there's a scene to Big L, Put It On.
Put It On.
One of my favorite songs and one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah. And to me, it was to express like, this is a different world, This is like, even though, I don't know, that song just bangs. I mean, but like, whether it's J-Ru, whether it's...
Remember when that dropped, just even going back, because I grew up here on the East Coast, and I feel like we listen to a lot of the same stuff. I'm from the Stretch and Bobbito era.
Me too. Well, in the film, in the opening, there's a kid he's looking at his brother's Stretch and Bobbito tapes.
Right. Well, and that was so important. That was one of the scenes that really kind of resonates.
Shout out to my Uncle Nick, though, because he used to send... I grew up in LA.
You had to get them from the East Coast.
My Uncle Nick lived out here, and he would send the Stretch and Bobbito tapes to us in LA. So I would wait for it in the mail.
And for the audience who may not know about Stretch and Bob, really influential.
You should watch
DJs.
that documentary.
Documentary is amazing.
Yeah.
College DJs in New York City. Oftentimes, even the biggest records that you hear, like Busta Rhymes, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, very first time I heard that was on Stretch and Bobbito.
Yeah, but also first radio appearance for Jay-Z, first for Biggie, I think, like wu-tang, like literally put on the people that formed what hip-hop is essentially in the 90s era.
So amazing. Right, man. I'm so glad we're here. That scene, though, right, because the reason why I'm here and I'm so blessed to be able to be a journalist in hip-hop and cover hip-hop, the reason why I got into hip-hop was really because of my older brother. I just wanted to do what my older brother did. My older brother came into the house with an Adidas tracksuit. Mom wanted that same Adidas tracksuit. If he was listening to EPMD and Redman, I was listening to EPMD and Redman. So much of me into hip-hop wanted to be to prove that I was cool to my older brother. And for me, like, that strikes a chord with me in watching Mid90s, because it feels like, that's what's going on. They have a very up and down, push and pull relationship.
Yeah, I mean, Mid90s is really about, very simply, this kid who's lonely and has kind of a fucked up life at home. He's got an abusive relationship with his brother, but he still worships his brother at the same time. Sneaks into his room to understand what's cool about music, clothes, everything. But he meets this group of skaters, and it's really an Animal Kingdom movie. He's this young cub working his way up through the Animal Kingdom. And these skaters, like skateboarding provided for me, like, look, I sucked at skating. I was 100% dedication, 14% skill, right? But for me, it provided a lens that I saw everything through. It was it was punk, it was anti-authority. It shaped my sense of humor, like Big Brother magazine was so subversive. It taught me about good hip hop, it taught me about good punk. It taught me how to dress and how to fucking see the world. And so for me, this kid enters, and it's a time when your friends mean more than your family, And it's like that one moment in time where emotions are so huge. The joy is huge, the pain is huge, the fun is huge, the agony is huge. And he learns from these kids, and he learns like what kind of person he wants to be, for better or for worse.
Going back to that scene when Stevie sneaks into his brother's room and the CD collection. The alphabetized, first of all, the level of detail, the alphabetized CD collection. I mean, you didn't just pull any album from Common. It wasn't Resurrection. It was Can I Borrow a Dollar, the first one. It was Criminal
That was
Minded.
the most heavily curated. I mean, that room, my production designer, John Minasa, God bless him, I think I gave him a full nervous breakdown because I was intolerant of anything not being perfect. And to me, it's like, those are the details. We don't make a meal out of it, but if you push in, everything's perfect. Every poster is perfect. Every item of clothing in the closet, the college basketball jerseys, which college basketball jerseys you would rock at that time, but every CD. And also, weird side note is those CDs, those classic ones in good shape, are really hard to find, right? And randomly, John Mean comes from the skate scene in LA. The person who lent us the CDs is Jerron Wilson, who was a famous skater on Girl. Right. So that's his CD collection, and I curated everyone that I wanted there from my childhood.
What was your CD collection like? Was it anything like that coming
banging.
out? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pristine. It was perfect. I'll put it up against anyone's right now.
Yeah. What's your favorite album of all time? Your favorite hip
That's a
hop
good
album?
question. Fuck. My favorite song of all time is "It Was a Good Day."
Ice Cube.
I grew up in LA. Ice Cube and Magic Johnson are kind of the LA heroes in the
Right.
80s and 90s. I also strongly believe that you only are today. You're not who you were yesterday. You're not who you were tomorrow. And that song's all about just like you can have a great day. And I know it's light and fun, but to me it means a lot more because it's like you should be in today. You know?
You know,
But Tribe is my,
Tribe is
they're the
Favorite
Beatles,
of all
man.
time.
They're the Beatles.
amazing. You know, funny thing about Good Day, you know, in Genius.
Low End Theory is probably my favorite album.
Low End
of all
Theory?
time, yeah.
You know, I flip back and forth between Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders. I mean, which
It's
I
one of
feel
those.
like the
It's
two
one of those two.
crowning
Like
jewels.
those are my two favorite albums ever.
Yeah, no, amazing.
Shout out to my brother Q-Tip, amazing man.
Nah, man, shout out Tip. You know, Good Day. Working here at Genius is like we kind of analyze everything and just try to figure things out. One of the things that's
So
going
It
on
Was
on
a
that
Good Day
page.
feels like LA.
It feels like LA.
If you're growing up in LA, like it's like you can feel the sun on your face when you listen to that song, you know? So it's very specifically.
And it
delivered.
feels so real. Like even you know, last week fucking around and got a triple double, and it's like, yo, how do you get a triple double in a
2 in the
in a
morning, hit
pickup
the
game?
Fat Burger. Literally, my
Right.
friends and I, every 2 in the morning on the weekends, hit the Fat Burger just to, you know.
Did you ever see that there was some research done that tried to pinpoint exactly when the day was that he talked about?
I've been
based
down this
off of
rabbit hole many
the
times, my
Lakers
friend.
versus the Supersonics, trying to find the exact day. Well,
I
they only
asked him.
played.
I worked with Ice Cube. I mean, I wrote that part for him in 21 Jump Street,
Right.
and when I got comfortable enough to ask him a question, the first thing I said was, "What day is it?" And he's just like, "It's not a day. I just compiled all these great things to make a great day."
See, he should have kept that to himself and not ruined it for you.
But you know what?
You should have kept that and not ruined it for us. I like to live in the
Fuck. Well, you
fantasy.
can edit it out if you don't want to put it in.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Q-Tip, man, talk about that relationship. You know, I've been blessed to interview Q-Tip a number of times. I feel like Q-Tip actually, and I look back at it, might have been trolling me when we on the BET Hip Hop Awards red carpet. I was at MTV at the time, and it was him and Pusha, and I was like, "Yo, Q-Tip, why weren't you on Cruel Summer?" And he was like, "Well, because Cruel Winter is coming," and I think that was the whole rumor about there was going to be a
There was
good
gonna
music
be a Cruel
Winter
Winter.
album. Really kind of started with that interview, and here I am thinking I got this great get. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, Q-Tip might have been trolling me.
Oh, was he fugging with you, you think?
To
It
this
never
day, I don't
came,
know.
yeah.
But you know, Q-Tip is one of those. He's just so special.
He's John Lennon, dude.
Yeah.
He's literally like, the fact that I know, you know, we've been friends for about 7 years now, and he's a close friend of mine. It's weird to say, I'm not like name dropping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, I love him, you know? And it's weird to me. I'll admit it's weird. Like, one of my heroes who shaped me is also a close friend of mine.
Happy about that.
And I tell him that, like, I don't make it weird and like awkward, but like he's aware of what he means to me, and like from an artistic level, and then he personally is a great friend, but he is one of the truest artists I've ever met. And when he breaks something down, like if like you ask him questions, right? Like I interviewed him for this magazine that I did
Right,
for
yeah.
A24. If you ask him questions about life, you just sometimes sit for a minute after, because you're like, how the fuck are you so smart? You know?
Did he give you any feedback on the movie? You mentioned that he was one of the first ones that you.
Yeah.
He did.
He loved it.
Oh, he loved it. That's what it was. So you know, but Q-Tip is also the type that, and me watching him as a fan and my limited dealings with him, he's gonna tell you how it is. Like he's not gonna hold
That's why
back
I
or
showed
spare
him.
your feelings, because he's a true artist and knows to push true art, you got to push boundaries. So for you to get the glowing review,
I mean,
had to
he gave
feel-
me some notes. Like,
Right.
this was an early cut. You know, a first draft of anything sucks. Hopefully there's a little heartbeat in it that, like, around the trash that makes you keep going. But him and Frank gave notes, but ultimately they were like, we see where it's going, and congrats. And that was really special, cosign, you know?
No, that's dope, man. Here's a good question that I just asked. We had Styles P in here earlier, and
Today?
yeah. Styles
He was
P
at our
in here.
screening last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came through because he has a new podcast with It's the Real. They do a movie podcast now.
No
Chic
way.
Luge, and
The
so
Locks
I bet you
came
that's
through.
something.
It was
Yeah.
amazing, and I was like, they were at the bar, and I was like, "Hey, the Locks, we gotta start the screening."
Right.
And they went in there, and it was really funny, and like, I don't know, it was really cool to have them there. Q-Tip was there, Prince Paul. It was amazing.
Prince Paul. You also put a Grave song. Like, see that when I talk about
Come
the
on, man.
authenticity of this, like
That's
you kind
for
of
the
had
heads.
to be there for the Gravediggers for that moment that they had.
There's always, I love watching the film with the audience, and when certain tracks come on, like something from Liquid Swords or Gravediggers, it's like, or even a certain J-Roo song, you always see like one or two people just go like, from behind, like, because you're watching in the back, you just go, oh shit, you know, and you're like, that's the person I made this movie for,
validation.
you know? No, but that's the person, I made that movie, I made this movie for you, so you could feel your own self in it, you know?
What's Jonah Hill's top 5?
Top 5 Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive?
So funny, I just was asked this today. Big L. I'm putting groups in
Yeah, sure.
as one.
As an act. Okay.
Big L, Tribe, Mobb Deep, Kendrick.
Kendrick makes the top 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect it.
I believe in Kendrick. I believe he's the future. I think he is the singular, like, him and Frank are the most singular important artists around. And, fuck, Gangstar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, shout out for me. DJ Premier also a friend of yours, right? Did you?
I interviewed him for this magazine.
For the magazine
too.
as well.
Yeah, and it's a magazine about, you know, I feel like everybody has a snapshot of themselves, whenever it could be, whenever or whatever the issues are, where you kind of wanted to hide that person from the world. And I think even as you grow older, you still carry that with you, or at least I do, and I wanted to find out if other people I admire do. And DJ Premier gives one of the most honest, open interviews, and it's really, really compelling.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. And has stories for days and memories. Like, you can ask him about the making of any record,
It's unbelievable.
and he'll give
You want to hear a
every
crazy
detail.
fact?
Go ahead.
That Q-Tip told me in that interview that I never knew. On a random Tuesday in the 90s, okay, you walk into a record store, and the releases that day were Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Low End Theory, and Nevermind by Nirvana.
Wow. Wow.
I feel so sorry for music today. Like literally you get Nevermind and Low End Theory just
same
on
day.
your car ride home. You're like, oh, what's this new music I got today? It's like, what the fuck, you know? Who do you think's killing it right now?
Right, Kendrick.
Like, who do you think is like
Kendrick-
a lifetime Hall of Famer?
We're going to be talking about Kendrick for the next 20 years.
That's what I said. I think he's an important artist.
J. Cole,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be talking about for the next 20 years. You know, I think
else?
I think Drake
I
is
think
up there.
Drake 100%.
Drake has made Drake now is the leader of the pack in the way that most artists follow what he does. He kind of sets the standard of how music is supposed to sound on a very mainstream kind of pop.
I
rap
think
level.
Drake and Kendrick are the two like Hall of Fame lifetime artists to me. I think Kendrick is just on a, you know, like Drake's like Michael Jackson and
Right.
Kendrick's like
Prince.
just some, you know, even deeper than that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's important in what he's saying, as well as just pushing things musically. Like,
Right,
I
there's
really
purpose.
respect both of them a lot. And what's interesting, one of my calls is I feel like Travis Scott's an interesting artist because I feel like on this last record, his music got as good as his chaos was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I always was like, oh, I see something. The crowd goes crazy. This guy's like a real special person to them. And I felt like this record, the music caught up to how cool he is. And he could be an interesting, from that SoundCloud vibe, from that like rowdy, like punk vibe, he might be an interesting person to watch develop, in my opinion.
We were talking about that. We did an episode of this with a bunch of journalists the day that Astroworld dropped. And one of the points that we made was that I think Travis has been influencing other people's sound for a long time. And him dropping this record at the right time is his sound that he was pushing and forging back then has become acceptable. And it's kind of this convergence of like the mainstream is ready for what he was doing. And he kind of crafted something just a bit to kind of fit who he is and
And
be
the
palatable.
mainstream. I just think he got better.
Yeah.
I just
That
think,
might be a real simple way. of
honestly,
just-
like to me, I respect that theory totally. But I think that's giving him a sense of manipulation as opposed to making things.
Right.
So I think when you say, oh, he's making it so it can fit in the mainstream, I have no idea. You're probably totally right. I have no idea. But for me, I think it's just, yo, we're watching kids get better.
Right.
He's fucking, your next album should be better than your last album, you know? So it's like, I think he's just getting better at his craft.
Right.
That's the way I view it.
That's dope, man. You know, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because this is the first day that you and I met, first time that you and I met. Actually seeing you, I went out to Wyoming.
Yeah.
For the Yay listening.
Yeah.
And I had seen you. And that, when people ask what that was like, you know, I kind of described, it felt like a high school reunion. Like, you've seen either people that you admire or people that you know, famous, cool, fans, and everybody was just in one space kind of enjoying each other and bringing people together, which was really special. Obviously, we're all fans of Kanye. One of the things is, like, I ask myself, how do I reconcile some of the things that I see going on with him? You know, he was with Trump recently, things that I may believe politically, but like, yo, this is an artist that kind of shaped my taste, shaped how I see the world. How do you reconcile
People can be both.
that?
I have a very simple answer for this because I don't want to be in headlines. I don't want to like, I'm not a political dude. Kanye, I love his music. He's my favorite artist. Actually, he should be in my top 5. That was actually crazy that I didn't put him in there. But I love his music. I don't know what the fuck this is. That's it. I love his music. I don't know what this is.
Right.
You know? And those are two separate things. I'm an art versus artist person, but yeah, I'm not a Trump dude and I don't love this and I don't get it, but I love his music. Simple as that.
I feel the same way. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I want to go to you, because as much as hip hop has affected you and shaped who you are,
it's completely shaped who I am.
You've affected hip hop. Does it trip you out? Like, Genius had just did this video about all the different super bad shout outs, right? And lyrics, right? Beyond that, Jonah Hill gets quite a few shout outs in hip hop. Does it trip you out when you hear a rapper say your name in the song?
The only one that tripped me out was J. Cole because I had never met him and people were like, yo, like J. Cole shouted you out on the album.
Which was on note to self, like he's hey,
thanking
Jonah.
people. Yeah, we told me that
thank
elevator changed my life, and I was like, I just think, oh, he's a clever, funny guy. Yeah, man.
Did you think when you were at home? Did you have to think? Did I meet J. Cole? And I just was I.
No, I just was like, I was just like, that's weird, you know. But to me,
did you fake it? Did you?
I don't think I'm an authority. I'm just someone who is shaped by it. I come from a place of reverence and love, and I am formed by hip hop. I don't give a fuck when it, you know, like Q-Tip is, when he saw the movie the other night, he's just like, thank you for making this movie about the culture. It's as much yours as anyone else's, you know? And it's like, I don't, you know, I would never say that, but to me, it's like, this shaped me. This is what I love. I don't give a fuck, you know, I don't give a fuck if I'm a great rapper. You know, I'm not, like, but this is what I love, you know? So let people love what they love, man. You know?
Have you ever tried to rap?
Huh?
Have you? I feel like everybody.
I made beats in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did, right?
I had an MPC. I had like, you know, turntables. I would DJ. I would go to Fat Beats all the time, digging in the crates. Like I love like DJ Shadow, trying to make stuff like that.
That's dope, man. Because I feel like everybody, and some are willing to admit it, some are not. But at some point, man, if you really love hip hop, you try to create in some sort of way.
Yo, I'm not a musician. I spent years in my room trying to chop up beats. I think my sample curation was tight. A lot of time I would hear the samples I chose later in rap songs. So I was like, oh, that's cool, I have a good ear. And then obviously I music supervised the film and music is very important to me and the music's getting a lot of attention in the film and that makes me feel really good because music is very important to me. And we got Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to score the film, which is unbelievable and insane.
Amazing. I wanted to give you kind of gave some away with the J. Cole thing, but I wanted, before we ended, to give you this quiz real quick. I want to give you the line, and then I want to see if you could guess the rapper who said it. This one is, that's before I lost the weight I had, no Jonah Hill, running up a lonely hill, feeling like I fell off.
I'm not going to know any of these ones about me. I have no idea.
I'll give you multiple choices. We have A, Smino, newcomer Smino, B, Boss from Dreamville artist, J. Cole Boss, or C, Little Baby.
No idea.
Well, we're going to shout out Smino on Ballet. Smino is a fan, incorporated you in a rap line. We'll try one more.
All right.
They boring to me, that's the opera. I'm scoring beauties, that's soccer. Me and Jonah Hill smoke, then we talk shit about how the rest of y'all blow.
I like that one.
A, Quavo.
No.
B, Childish Gambino.
No.
C, Little Dicky.
Little Dicky.
It's absolutely Little Dicky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know him either. He said that in the song?
He said that in the song. On his song, Would You Believe That?
Wow, interesting.
But it goes back to
honestly, like he's very clever, but I really wish it was Quavo.
Shout out Little Dicky. Well, you know what?
But
we came up with these questions before Quavo just dropped his new
so we don't know if I'm on it or not.
So you may be on it.
I may have a verse on it. You don't even know.
I'm gonna go there.
Man, I got bars.
Look, man. One more question. One more fun question I want to do with you. Let's just do a strange scenario.
Whatever? Or
what if? Look, I'm going to give you a scenario.
Okay.
There's some strange scenario where, let's say somebody, I'm trying not to make this dark. Let's do this.
Where the hell are you going, man?
I know,
we're like here to talk about rap music.
If your life depended on it, if it was a situation, a life or death situation, right? Somebody said, look, Jonah, man, all you got to do is just rap your favorite song for me. What would be the one record that you could rap?
Oh, that's a great question.
Backwards or forward.
I don't know why you had to go into such morbid territory just to ask what song I could rap the best. There's a lighter way to ask that question.
You know why? Because there's an Instagram meme. It was like, if somebody had a gun to your head and rap a song, what song would it be? And I try to lighten it up.
The one that I know the best, like if I ever got put on the spot to like have to do it, would be Put It On by Big L.
Can we do Put It On right now? First line? I got first line for you.
If you give me first line.
You better flee, Hops.
I'll get your head flown 3 blocks. L, keep rappers' hearts pumping like Reeboks. What's the next one?
I've messed this up. And then some still be version of crack never came out. I'm missing line. You better flee, Hops, to get your head flown 3 blocks. L's keep rappers' hearts pumping like Reeboks.
Name Clout. When my name came out. You brothers would still be versions of crack never came out.
Yeah. I got a wild style, always been a wild child. My guns go
boom, boom, your guns go pow, pow. I know to keep, wait, hold on. I know to keep the shoddy smoking. I keep the bodies front and get half the bones in your bodies broken.
Yeah,
that's the illest line in that song. You know the illest line in that song? I mean, misogyny is definitely canceled and was too much in early
It was a different
hip-hop.
time. It was mid-90s.
It was mid-90s,
it was a long time ago.
When it comes to getting nookie, I'm not a rookie. I got girls that make that chick Toni Braxton look like Whoopi. I mean, it's like he's insane, you know? Like,
got 35 bodies, buddy. Don't make it 36.
Yeah.
Big L was so cocky, braggadocious.
He was unbelievable. What a loss, man. It was a big L for us to lose him because imagine what he would have accomplished, you know?
Nah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be able to make a film that represents our culture that we grew up on and kind of, it's not easy to get this shit through the system.
Right.
You know, it's always these big Hollywood movies that fuck up hip hop or fuck up skateboarding and fuck up sneaker culture, fuck up all that stuff. It's like they're old people trying to figure it out. And so if I could do anything to just make a film for us, that's sick. You know, I'm hyped on that.
And you did it, man. Mid90s is out October 19th, right?
In LA and New York, and then October 26th, country, nationwide.
Yep. Go check out the movie. I'm telling you, it's super dope. It's hip hop. I always say this. Y'all hear me preach this. Hip hop is about community. When Jonah talks about making a movie for us, we're talking about community. We're talking about communal. We're talking about all inclusive. There's certain scenes that if you're not hip hop, you might not get it. Just certain little nods. But it's an enjoyable movie for all, man. It's a great movie. Everybody should go check it out.
And shout out, my favorite scene is where these kids connect with this homeless guy. And it's this beautiful conversation. That's Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Del the Funky Homo Sapien from Hyro. Amazing, man. Got your man in the flick. Jonah, man, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being on For the Record.
It's an honor. Go see Mid90s. Thanks.
For sure, man. Thank you for checking it out. See you guys next week. Peace.